In this video, we're going to continue to talk about solving inequalities, but this time by multiplying and dividing. We're just doing one step for now. Really similar to solving equations, just instead of an equal sign, there is an inequality sign. Let's get started. All right, our I can statement is I can apply properties of multiplication and division to solve inequalities. So just like equations. So in the last video we talked about addition and subtraction properties of inequality. This time we're just going to lump multiplication and division into one property, and it's going to be when you multiply or divide each side of an inequality by the same positive number in a second we'll talk about why it's so important that it's a positive number this time. The inequality remains true. So if you multiply or divide each side of an inequality by the same positive number, it's going to stay true. If you have room over here, you can write it over here. I'm going to write it on this little side right here because I don't have that much space left. So let's see an example. -4 is less than 6. That is true. If I multiply both sides by 2, by positive 2, I should get that -8 is less than 12. And that is still true. That's what this property states. So now we're going to practice solving some inequalities. If you need to, before I go too fast, go ahead and pause, write all this down, write the example down, ask questions if you need to. You are allowed to ask questions during videos. Alright, so let's do a couple examples. First step, as always, is write the inequality. X divided by 5 is less than or equal to -3. You can draw a little line underneath it if you'd like to keep it organized. I would suggest it since we're still new at these. So I have an x divided by 5. If we look at our acronym, I've simplified, variables are on one side, there's no addition or subtraction to undo, there is a division to undo, divided by 5, so I need to undo division. I'm going to abbreviate. We undo division by doing the opposite, which is multiplying. So if I'm dividing by 5, I'm going to multiply by 5. So 5 times that times 5, and that is the multiplication property of inequality that lets us divide or multiply both sides by 5. So next I'm going to simplify, which just means that we're going to go ahead and do the multiplication. Real quick on the side, I'm going to do it right here, or I'll do it down here. So 5 over 1 times x divided by 5. 5 times x, is 5x, and 1 times 5 is 5, and 5 divided by 5 is 1, so I'm just left with x. Just a real quick reminder of why those 5's go away. So you have x, and then negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. And when the inequality remains true, I just bring my sign down. I'll draw an arrow. Is less than or equal to negative 15. So you can go ahead, check your work if you want. That's what that blank is for. And then graph, because I didn't make the graph big enough. So we'll make our own. Just extend our graph a little bit. You guys can do that. So circle on 15, it's a less than or equal to, so it's a closed circle. And then x is less than anything. So anything that's going this way is what's going to work. Just keeping sharp on our graphing skills. So again, it's just like solving an equation, but this time without the equal sign. Okay, a couple more examples. There we go. As always, write the inequality. Six x is less than 42. So checking my acronym, I don't need to simplify. Variables are already on one side. There's no addition or subtraction. There is multiplication or division to undo though, because 6x is 6 times x, so I need to undo multiplication. You undo multiplication by doing the opposite. So if I'm multiplying by 6, I'm going to divide by 6. I'll draw a little line. And that is the division property of inequality. And then I simplify. So 6x divided by 6 is 1x. 42 divided by 6 is 7. My sign just comes down. X is greater than 7. All right, so then to graph, find 7. I draw a circle. It's just greater than, so I leave it open. Leave my circle open. X is greater than 7, so anything greater than 7 will be covered by the arrow. All right, this one, I want you to try it on your own real quick. So pause the video and try this one by yourself. All right, so hopefully you tried it by yourself. If not, pause now and try it by yourself. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the answers. All right, then I need to undo division. By dividing or multiplying by 4. Since I'm dividing by 4, I need to do the opposite. Then I simplify, which means just go ahead and do the math. I get x is less than or equal to negative 28. And that will for sure not fit on our number line, but that's okay. So, multiplication and division properties of inequality with negative numbers is different. That is why it is important to make a note that it is different. So with negative numbers. So it says when you multiply or divide each side of an inequality by the same negative number, the direction by the same negative number, the direction of the inequality symbol must be reversed for the inequality to remain true. Alright, so just one more time, since I got interrupted a few times. When you multiply or divide each side of an inequality by the same negative number, the direction of the inequality symbol must be reversed for the inequality to remain true. So here's an example. We'll do -4 is less than 6 if I multiply both sides by -2. -4 times 2 is 8 is less than -12. That's not true. So if I flip the symbol, 8 is greater than -12. That is true. So basically what this says, if we want it in one shorter sentence, is when multiply or divide by a negative, flip the symbol. So, one more thing to think about, but you guys can do it. And continuing on with an example, write the inequality. (n divided by 2 is less than or equal to 2. I have a division, so I need to undo division by doing the opposite, which is multiplying. Gonna multiply, since it's a negative and a 2, I'm gonna multiply by -2 because I'm gonna make it into a positive 1n. And I simplify. This would leave 1n and -4. Now if you look, it's now a less than or equal to sign. I need to flip it so that it's greater than or equal to. And that's what this step is here. Make sure you flipped the sign. We did. It is the opposite way. So now I can go ahead and graph. I'm gonna find -4. It's a greater than or equal to, so it's filled in. Anything greater than or equal to -4 is my solution. All right, I have one more example to do with you, and then you guys can write your own questions. So last example. As always, write the equation or inequality. We have -6 times x, so I need to undo multiplication. And do that by doing the opposite. Which means we're going to divide by -6. You divide by the whole coefficient. The whole coefficient is -6. Not +6, negative 6. Then we simplify. This will leave me 1x, and negative 42 divided by negative 6 is positive 7. It's now a less than sign, and I need to flip it so it's this way. And that's my last step, is make sure you flipped, ooh, it got big, the sign. It's so important or it won't be true. And then, as always, graph. I'm going to find 7. X is greater or equal to 7. All right, if you need to, take some time, re-watch the section. I know I went through a couple of those pretty fast. Go back, look at the definitions of those properties. And then I need you to write 2 questions that you still have. So I give you space, write some questions, ask me, let me know, and then just raise your hand when you're done. Give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe.